go. This is a bit where I say, hey, it's Jan Bitter. Well, actually, no, it's not. I've never done anything like this before, so if it's shit, that's why. Yes, I'm Australian, I have a dodgy accent. I'll try not to put my head in the way of my camera, and yeah. Got this from my Amiga swap mate. I go to an Amiga club every once a month, and in good old Mount Waverley, Amiga user group. Great bunch of guys, love them to bits. Big shout out to you guys. This was 20 bucks. We had an auction last month, which 20 bucks in Australian money these days is pretty damn cheap for an old Breadbin. Normally these are about 150 bucks on Fleabay, which are, there's a lot of money to pay for an old C64, but this one's a bit beaten up. Missing a space bar. The contacts appear to be okay. That one doesn't appear to be much good. These appear to be missing. Shifty lock is pretty shifty and locking. The turn key is pretty fucked. I have ordered some new keys and a space bar from the UK, so there's a first kind of port of call for me when I brought this home, just to sort of, it is a bit dodgy, it's got a fair old crack here, so I'll have to plastic weld that up. That's no much of a big deal. Keyboard LED look fairly decent from the backside. That needs resoldering. That's been taken off at some stage. Seems a bit loose here. Looks like it. Yeah, I think it's just not screwed in. That's all. So, oh, it's got the good old Australian neighbourhood watch. Can't go wrong. Another facet of Australia in the 80s. Aside from that, look, C64 Breadbin 251137, artwork number 250407 is the revision. It's a Rev B board 1983. It's looking a hell of a lot better for 35 years older. I've got 10 years on it. Looks okay. RAM chips are socketed, which I don't know if that's factory. I don't think it is. Some of the ICE logic looks to be socketed as well. Don't know if that's been done after the fact. First visual inspection, other than an additional memory chip from good old Tesla and a screw hanging around here. I appear to be missing a couple of motherboard screws. There's no, I think they had a piece of shield or cardboard infested metal garbage at some stage for RF shielding or ICC rubbish from, which seemed to be all the rage back in the 80s. I'll just have a slurp of my coffee. Don't know whether that's a thing that's missing or whether it was just omitted on the breadboards. It looks a little bit broken as well. It looks like a fairly decent sized hole. Good old Mr. Vic 2. Let's have a look under here and see what Mr. Vic 2's up to. Where's my favourite screwdriver? Let's have a look under here. There we go. Nothing really untoward looking there. No heat paste between this little bit of copper and Vic 2, so that'll need to be put in place. 6569 R3. Now, I'm not sure whether that's the right rev for this board, so I'll have to have a look at Jan's knowledge base of videos and other bits and pieces that are out there on the interballs to try and see if that's up to date. Some of these chip sockets missing PLA as well. That's not too good. So I have to get a super PLA or a Plankton or something else. Actually, super PLA is a C64C thing. I'll get a Plankton or something to replace that. I'm told you can burn 27C512 EEPROMs, and I've got a burner and some of those floating around here somewhere in my pile of shit. There they are. Good. Might have a crack at that. Somebody's got a bin file hanging around. I think they're 64K. I don't know. But some of these chip sockets are not, they're actual machine pinned, they're not machine pin sockets, but they're actual machine pin headers. They're not actual sockets per se, so I think I will redo them at some stage. 484, so this is 4984, so seems to be about the right sort of era as that. 4984, 5284, so it's all 80, looks like an 84 build machine, or 84 type parts. So anyway, this thing, which I think is either a choke or a coil or something, looks a bit fascinating. It seems to be a bit, I don't know whether that's got an O, I don't know whether that's ratchet or not, but it looks a bit cactus on top. Although it does seem to be sitting on top of something underneath it, which, I'll have to have a look at that. That's a Nishikon cap. Nishikon caps are pretty good, but I think these were all Nishikon in that era. I'm not too sure about these. It looks a bit, I've seen better days. It looks a bit corroded. That solder looks shit. It looks a bit dry jointed. Does that? Very much dry jointed. Board traces look okay. Some of these caps are not the best, although these ceramic type caps are pretty damn good when it comes to a longevity perspective. This one, this is very white looking and very shit looking. 104Z, I'm not sure what 104Z is, but I'm sure there's a value there. A few nanofarads or picofarads, I don't know. There'll be a wealth of knowledge out there who'll know. I do find these quite interesting, the 78112, the 7805, so the 5V reg is both heat sunk and attached to the board. These are not attached to the board, which is interesting. That's tip 29, which is some either NPN or PNP or some form of bloody transistor, I don't know. I'm not an electronics guy. I'm very good at solving shit just by process of elimination. I have a little bit of an idea about logic. I actually work in IT, not that, well, I show up in IT, I'm not sure I work in IT, but missing a power connector as well. These are rare as rocking horse shit, so that'll be an interesting one to find. I think 7 and 6 are AC and 4 and 5 are DC. So 4 and 5 are like your 5V, and 6 and 7 are 9V. I'll have to look that up, because what I might be able to do is just hardwire a like a 7-pin DIN out here just for testing purposes until I can actually find one of these suckers. That'll be a good way to test. The fuse hasn't blown, how lovely. Bridge rectifier I think is original. This is a PAL machine, as you can see by PAL. It's not NTSC. It's also got a 17.73447 crystal in it, which is absolutely humongous for its age. There's little tiny ones which will actually go in the holes on the system board these days. The jumper for the PAL is in place. This is normally, I think E1 to E3 is normally set for NTSC. Again, that's thanks to good old Jan Bitter. You got some great videos, mate. I really respect you for the work you do. Your good self and David the 8-bit guy and Chris Periphoractic and his interesting recipes. You're all very much appreciated for the work that you guys do. I do enjoy your videos very much. A little bit more about me, aside from my good old Mr. Breadbin here and my piece of heat shrink tube hanging around. I do like retro bits and pieces. I do have a C64C buried away somewhere over there in my pile of garbage, along with a multitude of Amiga 2000s, 1200s, 600s, 500s and a 1000. I need an 3000 and a 4000 to complete my collection. A CD-TV and a CD32 would be most enjoyable as well, but look, I'm not greedy. So, look, I think somewhere here I'll leave it at that. You've probably listened to my rambling shit long enough. I'll bid you farewell, and I hope to get some new sockets for these guys. I think, I'll go down to JCar and get them and socket them up properly. They seem to be the only three which have been put that way, so I think these are one of these is ROMs, one of these is a character ROM, and one of them is a basic ROM or something like that. And I do have a good old dead test cartridge. Where is it, Yarn? Here it is. My good friend Yarn sent me this in the mail. Good on you, Yarn, you're a bloody legend. I do have an international soccer cartridge which I got for free actually. Thank you, Amiga user group down here in Melbourne, Australia. Probably put this in here because there's about 1 billion and one of these out there, so I will keep the circuit board for it because it is kind of nostalgic. It is one of those good sort of things. It does have a 27C5112 EEPROM on it, which I burnt with the bin file. And I know it does work because it's been in my C64C when I fixed that. That had dead 6526s in it. I put 8520s from a Amiga 500 board in the C64C. Yes, they do work. They run at 2 MHz in the Amiga. I think these 6526s are 1 MHz. They just run a bit slower on the C64. So, as I said before, enough rambling. Time to get some stuff on the go. I will bid you farewell. Thanks for watching if you bothered. Bye.